So hello and welcome back to the Nerdy Geek channel. In today's video I wanted to talk about Star Wars. So since Rogue One has been released a few weeks ago, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on Rogue One and what if I found it better than Star Wars 7, and I will just have an in-depth discussion about Star Wars 7 and Rogue One in this video. So first let's start with Star Wars 7, The Force Awakens. Obviously Star Wars 7 is and probably will be the most anticipated movie of this entire decade, and there was so much build up to it, so much hype, ever, especially when the first trailer dropped, and there was this high expectation of this movie, and I saw everybody like going, "Oh, this is going to be like so awesome! Star Wars is finally coming back," and having its huge expectations of this movie, like almost impossible expectations. And I thought that what was going to end up happening was that everyone was going to hate it because it didn't meet their like huge expectation, and I would end up being the few people who would actually like it. But what ended up actually happening is the other way around. Like everybody loved it, and I didn't hate it, but I felt a little bit disappointed when I left the cinema. And since I'm only 15 years old, I had never seen a Star Wars movie in the cinema before. I had never seen a Star Wars. I wasn't born when the original trilogy came out, and I wasn't born when the prequels came out. So Star Wars 7 was going to be my first movie I would ever see in a cinema when it would first come out. And this is obviously a huge deal for people like me who are of my age who are fans of Star Wars. Because this is going to be our generation Star Wars movie, and yeah, that's like a huge deal. I even avoided reviews, and I purposely avoided the reviews and other people's opinion about the movie because I wanted to form my own honest opinion about the movie. I did not want to be influenced by the media's opinion of the movie. So uh, I I avoided like reviews until we finally got around to seeing it. And when we saw it, I realized that the movie was basically exactly the same as A New Hope, and this actually disappointed me quite thoroughly because I was hoping for a movie that that I could when I am 50 years old, I could say like I watched that movie as a kid and have nostalgic feelings towards the movie like all people have now towards A New Hope. Who like people who saw A New Hope have nostalgic feelings for A New Hope, and that's why I was quite disappointed that this was exactly the same as A New Hope. Yeah, and The Force Awakens also had some other problems. For example, Rey. Rey as a character was way too overpowered. She could use the Force. She could mind control someone with the Force. She could fight with a lightsaber like a proper Jedi. She almost beat Kylo Ren in it. Luke Skywalker didn't even use a lightsaber in the first movie in combat, and when he did in The Empire Strikes Back, he got his hand handed to him. And sorry, that was a bad joke. But so it's like Rey doesn't have this struggle that Luke Skywalker has. Luke, he had to train and overcome like the fear of Darth Vader, and that made this character more believable and relatable. Like Rey doesn't have such struggle, which makes her character unrelatable and a little bit undermines her character as a whole. But yeah, and Finn. Well, Finn was okay. He wasn't anything special. He was a fine character. Poe Dameron. I think he was fun. He was a fun character to watch. He's basically this movie's Han Solo. Kylo Ren. So while Kylo Ren it was very menacing, I think he took off his helmet way too early in the movie. Because it really humanized him. They didn't take Darth Vader's helmet off until the very end of the sixth movie, and that's what kept Darth Vader menacing, and it really took out the menace of Kylo Ren that he took off his helmet so early. And if they were going to take off his helmet in this movie anyway, probably a better moment would have been on the bridge when he killed his father, Han Solo. I think that would have been a better moment. So while I was disappointed in the movie overall, I don't think the movie is bad and so totally bad. So not at all. It did recapture the classic Star Wars feel of the original trilogy, and that is what it did well. It really did feel like a Star Wars movie, probably because it was so similar to A New Hope, but still, it really felt like a Star Wars movie, and unlike the prequels, which didn't feel like a Star Wars movie at all, like that's what it did well, and it really did set up. It really made me interested in seeing Star Wars 8. What was going to happen next to the characters? What was going to what who Snoke is? Snoke is interesting. Is an interesting character, and so yeah, I don't think everything of the movie is bad. It did some things good, and I can see why people would like it. So I'm not trying to say that if you like this movie, you don't know anything about Star Wars. It's just this is just my opinion. So if I were to give Star Wars 7 a grade, um, like for my personal, I will give it two different kind of grades. I will give it like a critical grade, like just looking at the movie from an objective point of view, and I'll give it like a personal kind of grade, like when I will look at the movie subjectively, like how much I enjoyed it. So for my critical grade, I probably give it an 7.5, and for my subjective grade, I'd probably give it a 7. So an average of 7.25. So overall, not a bad movie, but still a little bit disappointed in it. So now let's move on to Rogue One. So Rogue One obviously came out a few weeks ago, and I liked it. I love the movie. It was a really good movie. I'm not gonna pretend it's a perfect movie. It definitely has many flaws, like just as many as Star Wars 7. But what for like I said, I was hoping for a different kind of Star Wars movie, and Rogue One just gave me that movie that I wanted. This is the kind of movie, new kind of movie from Star Wars I wanted, and of course it had some flaws. For example, the biggest flaw is that the first 20 minutes or so is a little bit slow and a little bit boring, and it doesn't progress. The story doesn't really develop, and they're introducing the characters, but still it's a little bit slow. But as soon as it is revealed that Jin's father actually incorporated a little flaw, a fundamental flaw actually, in the Death Star, from that point on, I really started to enjoy the movie because I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. Because the fundamental flaw in the Death Star has always been like this plot hole in the Star Wars. Like, why would there be a fundamental flaw? And they resolved that plot hole in this movie now, and in a really clever way. So from that point on, I really started to enjoy the movie, and from that point on, it really started to feel more like a Star Wars movie. It really got that Star Wars feel to it. So really, from that review on, it really starts to develop the story. It gets really better, and from that point on, I really started to love the movie. So as you might have guessed, I prefer Rogue One over The Force Awakens, and this is mainly because Rogue One really was a new kind of Star Wars movie, the kind of Star Wars movie that I was hoping for. But I also prefer Rogue One over Force Awakens because I think the main character, Jin, is way better than Rey. Because Jin actually develops throughout the stories. He actually struggles. For example, she was not able to save her father, and she also develops throughout the story. For example, in the beginning of the story, she really didn't sympathize with the rebellion. She didn't want to join the rebellion, and in the end, she was fighting for the rebellion. She gave her life for the rebellion. So she really developed throughout the story, and that made her character more relatable and more believable, and that's why I prefer Jin over Rey. As for the other characters, Diego Luna, he was fine. He was basically the Han Solo of this movie. I really like the blind guy. He was awesome. It was good to see someone who was like who could sense the Force, but is not actually a Jedi. Because I've always wondered, what if you don't want to be a Jedi and you're not a Sith? And I think his name was Yen or something. Yeah, he was very interesting, and I liked his partner too. They were really this fun dynamic duo. Yeah, they were really fun to watch and to see on screen. And for K2SO, I think we can all agree that he was amazing. He was great. Probably one of the best things about this movie. So yeah, the character's really, really great. But what I also liked about the movie is that it nuanced the Rebel Alliance. It didn't illustrate the Rebel Alliance as this perfect operation that's wants the best for the universe. It actually showed that some people have their own agendas and have their own things, and they don't necessarily do the right thing. And that's what I really liked about the movie too. They nuanced the Rebel Alliance. So now I'm going to give Rogue One a grade. So I'm gonna do the same with Rogue One as I did with The Force Awakens. I'm gonna give it two kind of grades: critical, objective kind of grade, and a subjective grade, like how much I enjoyed it. So for my objective grade or my critical grade, I probably have to give it the same as The Force Awakens, a 7.5, because they were both really good movies, and yeah, and they both had their flaws, and they both had their like good things and both had their bad things. So I think they are pretty much the same. So that's why a 7.5. But for my subjective grade, I'll probably have to give it much higher than Force Awakens. I have to give it an 8. So because I enjoy, this is a new kind of Star Wars movie, a Star Wars movie that I was hoping for, and that's why this movie really that's why I really enjoyed this movie, and that's why I give it an 8. So Rogue One has an average of 7.75, so 0.5 higher than The Force Awakens. Both good movies, but I enjoyed Rogue One more. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.